this will be just a really brief practice of warm-ups for the spine. So all the directional movements that we would take the spine through at the beginning or near the beginning of a yoga class or a Pilates class. I'm doing this seated on the edge of my standard office stool. You can do it seated on the edge of a chair. You could do it seated on your yoga mat, blocks, edge of a bolster. You could even adapt it to standing. And the first thing I'll do is just start to settle into the sense of connection wherever I'm supported by a prop or by the floor. So for where I'm sitting now, I've got sits bones on the edge of my stool. I've got soles of the feet on the floor. I'm just going to rest my palms on my thighs for a moment and start to just sense into those spaces of connection or groundedness. And then keeping that sense of settled connection at the base, I'll start to imagine lightness coming from the center of the top of the head. And this is actually our first direction of spinal movement. In yoga, we often call it axial extension. We might call it axial elongation. In Pilates, we might call it opposition. But it's this idea of drawing long and tall in the spine, imagining that spaciousness between the vertebrae. So as I do that, I may find a little point to gaze a few feet in front of me. I may soften and close the eyes. And I'm just feeling into the sensations in and around the spine, just as they are. So just taking a moment, notice anything that my body is telling me, my spine is telling me, anything that stands out. And then I'll also take a moment just to notice my breath just as it is. So just that gentle observation. What are my inhales feeling like? What sort of movement is coming with them? Also checking in with the sensation of the exhale. And then getting ready to start to expand into my breath and create movement with breath, beginning with flexion and extension, often called cat and cow. So as I stay rooted into the sits bones, long in the crown of the head, I'm going to maintain that sense of openness, length, expansion as I start to move into that flexion extension. So waiting for my next in-breath, I'm going to inhale, imagine opening the heart forward, broadening through the collarbones, letting the shoulders start to reach back, the throat open, the gaze come high. And then as I exhale, I'll pull the navel in toward the spine, round the shoulders forward, and let the gaze come down. So I'm inhaling open into this extension and exhaling forward into flexion. And then I'll settle myself back to neutral spine, long, tall, and then moving toward lateral flexion. And this is a side bending movement. So first, just continuing to rest my hands on my lap as is comfortable. I'm going to find that sense of length. I'm going to keep that sense of length on both sides of the spine as I move into that lateral flexion. So I inhale into that length. As I exhale, I'm going to drop my left shoulder toward the floor, just outside my left hip, but I'm going to try to keep space between the ribs and pelvis on that side. And then I'm going to inhale, lengthen myself all the way back through center, and exhale, moving to the second side, staying expansive, staying long. Inhale brings me through center, exhale takes me into that lateral flexion. And then for my next cycle, I'm going to add another variation for arms. So if it feels good, take the left hand and drop it down toward the floor outside the left hip. Take the right hand, reach it up toward the ceiling. Inhale here. Exhale, reach left fingertips for the floor, right fingertips overhead. Inhale takes me through center. I'll switch the places of the hands. Exhale takes me to the opposite side. So we'll do one more each side with my breath. And settling back to center and allowing the hands to rest at the lap. Moving back to that idea of length in the spine, getting ready to move into spinal rotation, a twist. I'm only going to twist as far as I can go, keep that sense of length, so maintaining my natural lumbar curve. Inhaling in center, exhale, turning the heart toward the left. Inhaling center, exhale, turning heart toward the right. Next time through, I'll add another option for arm variation here. I'm going to bring both hands up overhead, about a shoulder distance between the palms, palms facing one another, seating the arms down into the shoulder sockets, still nice and long. Big inhale in center. Exhale, twisting left again, just as far as I can go, maintaining that lumbar curve. Hands are going to float down. Right fingers reach for left thigh. Left fingers float just behind the pelvis. Inhale takes me back through center, and I'll lift the hands. And exhale will take me to the opposite side. I'll do one more each side with my breath. And settling back into center. So this is a beautiful piece to add at the beginning of your practice before you move into another movement, another flow, moving through all those different directions, a spinal warm-up, and then into your yoga practice. Thanks.